Was gold a successful hedge against the hyperinflation that we're seeing in Venezuela? The price of gold went from about $13,000 to over $200 million currently in calendar year 2018, and that's bolivars, which is the Venezuelan dollar. But yet it's being called a failure that it did not properly hedge against inflation. So we're going to take a look at that today and more. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jason. You're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. Okay, we're going to dip our toes in here into the world of precious metals. And I don't stack any gold myself. I'm pretty much a silver guy. Been collecting silver coins since as long as I can remember, actually. So in this video, we want to use gold and silver interchangeable, basically, precious metals. But the focus is on gold because that's what I have the stats on in the charts here. Okay, recent article here out of Barron's. Gold won't protect you from hyperinflation. So we want to get into it and see if that's actually correct. I actually think it's a flawed argument, and I'll tell you why. Now, first of all, Barron's, they've been around for a long time. They've been a long time publisher, started off as a newspaper. Here's what I found out. They're published by Dow Jones Company, which is a property of News Corp, so that could tell you probably why they're bashing precious metals here. Okay, maybe they want to get everybody in the stock market. I'm not sure what the connection is there with Dow Jones and Company publishing Barron's. If any of you know, please let me know in comments, but I want to focus on the inflation aspect versus the gold price here. Okay, in a minute we're going to talk about the reasons for the hyperinflation, but first let's take a look here. Gold in Venezuela. In Venezuelan dollars, the bolivar, it was $13,000 at the beginning of the year. Since has skyrocketed to nearly 200 million Venezuelan bolivars. 200 million. So case closed, right? Case closed, win-win, no questions. Anything that goes up that much has to be a win. Well, Barron's is arguing that even 200 million Venezuelan bolivars was not enough of an increase in the value to keep up with overall inflation. But we're going to take a look at that here and kind of debunk that argument, if you will. Okay, so we're going to go over here to our percentage calculator. We're going to put in the original number, 13,000, and the new number, 200 million. Okay, that is a 1.5 million% increase. Let's count the digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 1.5. 1.5 million% increase for the price of gold. All right, now I know that seems crazy and unrealistic, but the currency has been devalued so much in the country that it's basically become worthless. And I want to show you a couple examples of it here. Okay, the Venezuelan dollar, the bolivar, has become so worthless that $1 US will get you 925,000 gallons of premium gas in Venezuela. Okay, now this article goes to point out here that hyperinflation made the bolivar essentially worthless, so there's a black market for the US dollar. One bolivar now is, $1 US is trading for 3.5 million bolivars. All right, now according to this article, part of the Venezuelan socialist regime is gas subsidies, and there's a whole bunch of other subsidies that we'll talk on briefly here. Okay, now as far as socialism, they're voted one of the most socialistic countries. I think they're in the top 10 here. Yeah, a few different sources that I located said they're in the top 10. All the social programs, things like that, food programs. But it goes a whole lot further than that. There's a whole bunch of corruption and misuse of money, endless printing and creation of the currency. Does that sound familiar? US dollar. So the subsidies there are just part of the picture, but what happens when you have a lot of subsidy, it creates more demand for goods and items and even food. And before we get back into gold, let's show you how bad this is affecting people as far as the cost of food. Okay, inflation has gotten so bad that many people, especially in the bigger cities, cannot get food. And it's so bad that, and this is not for the faint of heart here, pets are on the menu as Venezuelans starve. Okay, and I haven't seen this reported on U.S. media very much at all, but many Venezuelans can no longer afford beef or chicken. The government tried to make them eat rabbits, but no, some invade zoos to carve up buffalo and horses, and many go hungry. And it's very sad. You can see the people here just digging through trash, try to find something, scraps. Okay, zoos were forced to slaughter animals to feed others in Venezuela. And it looks like the animals wouldn't have made it anyway if they weren't slaughtered. Just look at the starvation here, how skinny they are. These are zoo animals in Venezuela. Okay, that's a cougar there out of the Metropolitan Zoo in Maracaibo. And that's a picture from this year, just really sad. Okay, here's another shot right here. You can see the ribs, just awful conditions there. And the currency has become so worthless that Venezuela doesn't have enough money to pay for its money. I'll repeat that. They don't have enough money to pay for its money. So the cost of printing the money now exceeds what the money's even worth. So in order to buy basic goods in some cases, you have to walk around with wheelbarrows full of money. Now this is a shot out of Zimbabwe. It's the best one I could find that demonstrates how many bills you need because of the hyperinflation and the collapsing of the currency. But take a look at it here. This is life in Venezuela and other countries that have had hyperinflation. This guy here, he doesn't seem too upset. I'm rich, I'm rich. But seriously, it's good to see somebody smile through such crazy times down there. All right, now I'm going to link to some of these articles because it does go into detail saying that people out in the country where there were farms, well, they were better off because they were able to barter. And of course, there was a surge of people going to the farm say, hey, can I get some food? Can I help? Can I work for you? Can I trade things like maybe gold and silver coins? If you had them. And that's what I want to talk about. Okay, now here's a chart here of the Venezuelan dollar, the bolivar. And this only goes back about a year, but you can see the devaluation, how it was gradual at first, and then all of a sudden the bottom dropped out. So most people did not have time to prepare. By the time it started dropping, the rush to transfer those bolivars, those dollars, into something of value, such as precious metals, or maybe just stocking up on supplies and food before the dollar, their bolivar, became worthless. Well, as you could see, the bottom dropped out so quickly, many people were basically stuck. Okay, so we ran the math on gold, and using the price of 13,000 up to 200 million, we know that it went up 1.5%, but the IMF is projecting Venezuela inflation will hit 1,000,000% in 2018. So gold actually did hedge against inflation. And I didn't see the study on this, but I'm going to guess silver was similar, even though it's, of course, a much lower price. So it almost looks to be a hit piece by barons in this case, or maybe they're just misinformed. But it looks like maybe we should call barons robber barons. They're trying to fool people, apparently. Maybe they want to stack up on precious metals themselves. Who knows? But let me paint a kind of a simple concept of this whole debate here on was gold successful as a hedge against inflation in Venezuela. If you just held on to bolivars, the Venezuelan dollar, and nothing else, basically you lost everything because it became essentially worthless. So you could have had $100,000, you could have worked your whole life and had savings of $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000, and now basically it's worthless. You held on to dollars, bolivars in this case, you completely, nearly lost everything. But if you were stacking metal or other commodities, even stocking away food, or if you own property, of course those are also hedges because they go up in value too with hyperinflation. But having nothing versus having some metal, well, gold didn't crash to zero, and it will likely never crash to zero because it has value in and of itself. It's a limited commodity, or a limited asset, whatever you want to call it. So precious metals was successful as far as we can see with all the data here. So then the question comes up, well, who's going to want precious metals when people don't even have food? Well, that's the thing. When the economy completely implodes and breaks down, you still have to find somebody that's going to want the metal, and it may not be easily transferable to someone that actually has something that you need, such as food. And I'm guessing these people probably don't have PayPals or Bitcoin wallets. But let's take the devalued bolivar out of the equation. Let's just put it in US dollars. If you had an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, well, you have $1,200 approximately. That's gold right now. And what's silver? About $14, $15 right now. Okay, so just want to wrap it up here with my final thoughts. All right, now I'm not telling anyone to go out and sell their home and stack precious metals instead of having a home. But if you have some cash on the side, whether it be paper bills or digitally there in your checking account online, you might want to get yourself a hedge. If it's not precious metals, maybe it's Bitcoin. And some people say, well, Bitcoin, it's worthless, it's also fiat, there's nothing backing it. Well, if people find value in it, just like precious metals, then it does still have backing. It's backed by confidence and the belief that it's valuable. And digital gold, in this case, what could be Bitcoin, some people are calling it that anyway, the value of it is an escape from the dollar. So if you can't go out and buy precious metals, if you don't have a gold shop near you or a precious metal dealer to buy it from, you could actually buy it online, by the way. Okay, and I'm actually going to put a link to our friend Losing Louie. He's got a great channel on stacking gold and metal and silver. All kinds of great information. But even if you're not into holding on physical assets like metals, the value of cryptocurrency, that could be your escape. That could be your exit out of the dollar. Now, in the near future, the dollar could be strong because so many of these emerging market countries, because of the central banks keeping interest rates so low across the globe in many cases, well, currencies are becoming devalued in many different countries. And that could cause a panic run to the dollar. But ultimately, and many people are saying this, not just me, ultimately the dollar could run the same fate as the bolivar, where it becomes completely worthless. So if that does happen, are you going to be stuck with a bunch of paper? Or are you going to have something that's always going to have some value? Okay, me, I'm in both. So just to let you know what I'm doing. All right, let me know what you guys think. Let me know your comments on this if you would like to see it down in comments. What do you think about Barron saying that gold was not a proper hedge against hyperinflation, even though the math says it went up over 1.5 million? And don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a lot more housing news coming out here in the near future. And also we're going to get into some prepping information. I'm actually finding myself stocking up on a few different things here. I want to talk about that in a different video. And hope to see you guys here next time. Thank you, people. Bye.